Have you ever walked into a room and felt drawn to someone, not because of their looks, their clothing, or anything they said, but because of something unseen? Something you couldn't quite describe, yet it held you in quiet awe? That, dear friend, is the power of silent attraction. As we age, the world often fixates on what fades: youthful skin, quick steps, the sharpness of memory. But what if I told you that growing older doesn't diminish your attractiveness? In truth, it deepens it. It refines it. It transforms it into something far more profound and lasting. Because at 70, 80, or beyond, your charm is no longer in what people see, but in what they feel when they are near you. It's in the calm you bring into the chaos. It's in the warmth of your smile that reaches the eyes, and in the quiet confidence that doesn't need to boast or convince anyone of your worth. It's in your lived experience, etched in every wrinkle, every silver strand of hair. You carry stories, you carry wisdom, you carry grace. This is not a video about how to look younger or pretend to be someone you're not. This is about becoming irresistible without speaking a word. It's about cultivating a presence so grounded, so luminous, so at peace with itself, that others can't help but be drawn to it. There's a magnetism that lives in stillness, a radiance in kindness, a beauty in authenticity. And here's the truth: the older you get, the stronger this force can become, if you choose to nourish it. In this video, I'll walk you through 12 habits that don't just make you likable, they make you unforgettable. Not through loudness, not through performance, but through the quiet, unwavering light that shines from within when you live with intention, gratitude, and self-respect. So whether you're 70, 80, or anywhere in between, know this: you don't need to chase attention. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the lesson. You are the presence. You are the wisdom others long to sit beside. Stay with me until the end. Let's explore how to become silently attractive together. Radiate positivity. Picture this. You enter a room, and before you say a single word, people feel something shift. A quiet calm settles. The air feels lighter, softer, somehow safer. That is the effect of someone who radiates genuine positivity. And no, I'm not talking about forced cheerfulness or pretending everything is fine when it's not. True positivity isn't a mask. It's not a denial of life's difficulties. It's a choice to carry light even when you've walked through darkness. At your age, you've seen so much: joys and heartbreaks, achievements and regrets. Life has tested you in more ways than most will ever know. And yet, you're still here, still choosing to smile, still choosing to greet the world with warmth. That, my friend, is powerful beyond words. A smile that comes from your soul, one that touches your eyes, has the power to melt walls people didn't even know they'd built. It says, "I see you. You're safe here." And in a world so full of noise, fear, and judgment, being that kind of presence is magnetic. Radiating positivity isn't about ignoring pain. It's about acknowledging it and choosing to respond with grace. It's found in the way you encourage others, the way you pause to truly listen, the way you look for solutions instead of sinking into complaints. It's in the simple gestures: a compliment to a stranger, a kind word to a family member, a quiet patience with yourself. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to inspire others. You just have to be steady, optimistic, hopeful. When people are near you and feel more peaceful, more themselves, that's a legacy more beautiful than any possession or accolade. That is silent attraction at work. And here's the secret most people miss: positivity is contagious. The way you handle a setback, the way you speak with kindness, the way you carry your energy, it teaches others without you even realizing it. You become a mirror for what is possible when life is lived with an open heart. Especially now, at this chapter of your life, radiating positivity is a gift not only to others but to yourself. It lifts your spirit, it strengthens your body, it softens the aches of the past and opens space for joy, right here, right now. So if you've ever doubted whether your presence matters, let me tell you clearly: your energy is felt. Your attitude sets a tone, and your light can still light up someone's darkest day. That is what it means to be quietly, profoundly irresistible. Practice active listening. There's something profoundly healing about being heard, not just nodded at, not simply tolerated, but truly, fully seen and understood. And at your age, you hold a rare and beautiful gift: the power to offer that experience to others. We live in a world where people talk endlessly, but listen rarely. We interrupt, we rush, We wait impatiently for our turn to speak, thinking that our story matters more. But real connection, the kind that lingers long after the conversation ends, comes from the art of listening. And not just any listening, active listening. That means showing up with your whole heart, your whole attention, and your full presence. When you sit with someone, be it a grandchild sharing a dream, a friend whispering a fear, or even a stranger in passing, you have the power to make them feel like they are the only person in the world at that moment. That is a rare kind of magic. Put down the phone, turn your face toward them, let your eyes say, "I'm here, I'm listening, you matter." Even a small nod, a gentle, "Tell me more." A silence that says, "I'm not in a hurry." These speak volumes. And as you do, something remarkable happens. The person in front of you begins to soften. They open, they trust, because you are not just hearing their words, you are hearing their heart. This is a superpower, especially in your later years. You're no longer in a rush to impress. You don't need to win arguments or prove anything. You know that the greatest strength often lies in quiet empathy. You also know something younger people are still learning. Sometimes the most loving thing you can offer isn't advice, it's presence. You may never realize how much impact your listening has, but to the one who needed it, your calm attention could be the difference between isolation and hope. And just as much as others need to be heard, so do you. Active listening invites reciprocity. When people feel safe around you, they begin to listen back. They care more deeply. They open themselves to you, and trust blooms. This is how relationships deepen, not through grand gestures, but through small, sacred moments of "I hear you. I understand, I'm with you." So yes, practice this, not just occasionally, but as a way of being. Let listening become your legacy. Let your silence speak comfort. Let your attention be the gift that turns ordinary encounters into unforgettable connections. Because in the end, it's not the stories we tell that make us irresistible. It's how gently we hold the stories of others. Master the art of conversation. Conversation is more than words. It's more than idle chatter or polite exchanges. At its best, conversation is connection, a bridge between souls, a dance between two hearts, each taking turns to lead and follow. And at your stage of life, you have a treasure trove within you. Experiences, stories, insights, truths, each one holding the power to illuminate, to comfort, to inspire. But the true art of conversation isn't just about sharing those stories. It's about creating space for others to share theirs too. A masterful conversation is not a performance. It's an invitation. It begins with presence, with showing up not just to speak, but to connect. It begins with curiosity, with wondering what someone else might teach you, even if they're decades younger. It begins with humility, with knowing that every person you meet carries something you don't know yet. So, how do you elevate an ordinary exchange into something meaningful? Start by going deeper than the surface. Instead of "How are you?" try "What's brought you joy this week? What's been weighing on your mind lately?" These are questions that invite reflection, that say, "I care about what's underneath." And when you speak, speak with intention. Let your stories carry warmth, not ego. Let your words be thoughtful, not rushed. Let your wisdom serve, not shine. Be mindful of balance. Conversation is not a monologue. It's not an arena for proving who's right or who knows more. It's a partnership, a rhythm. One person breathes in, the other breathes out. Ask questions not to fill silence, but to show interest. And then listen, not to reply, but to understand. Make space for pauses. Don't rush to fix, to judge, or to compare. Let people be heard. Let them be real. And in return, allow yourself to be real too. Because when you share not just your highlights, but your vulnerabilities, your doubts, your regrets, your hopes, you remind others that they are not alone in theirs. That's what people crave today. Not perfect conversations, but honest ones. Not cleverness, but connection. And here's the quiet truth. In a world so consumed by noise, a genuine, soulful conversation is one of the rarest and most attractive things you can offer. You don't need to speak the most. You only need to speak with heart. Because the words that linger are not the loudest. They are the ones spoken with warmth, truth, and intention. So speak kindly, listen deeply, ask sincerely. Let every conversation be a chance to see someone and to let them see you. And in doing so, you'll discover you don't need to be charismatic to be unforgettable. You just need to be real. Cultivate a sense of humor. Life, as you know well by now, doesn't always go according to plan. We forget things, we trip over our own feet, we burn the toast, we say the wrong name, we misplace our glasses, only to find them sitting right on our head. And sometimes, all you can do is laugh. That laugh, gentle, knowing, unbothered, is not just sound, it's strength. Because humor at its deepest level isn't about being funny. It's about perspective. It's about learning to see the light, even when things get dark. A good sense of humor is not loud. It's not attention-seeking. It's not about telling the best joke in the room. It's quiet resilience. It's the ability to smile at life's imperfections and at your own. When you laugh at yourself, at your forgetfulness, your quirks, your humanness, you give everyone around you permission to be imperfect too. And suddenly, people breathe easier. They feel more relaxed. They open up. You become approachable, not because you're flawless, but because you're real. And you know what? That's irresistible. There is something deeply attractive about someone who doesn't take life too seriously. Someone who can shrug, chuckle, and say, "Oh well, that's life." Humor dissolves tension. It breaks down walls. It lifts the spirit, even in the middle of sorrow. Sometimes, the most memorable moments are not the planned ones. They're the silly ones. The unexpected. The slightly embarrassing. The ones where laughter came out of nowhere and reminded everyone, we're alive, we're human, and we're in this together. Especially now in your 70s or 80s, humor can become a healing force, not just for others, but for you. It softens the edges of grief, it lightens the heaviness of change, and it reminds you every day that joy still lives inside you. So laugh often, laugh gently, laugh from the belly. Find humor in the daily chaos, in the things you used to get frustrated about. Share stories that make people giggle. Poke fun at yourself with kindness. Let your laughter be the music that others remember long after you've gone quiet. Because someone who can smile through the storm, who can laugh at spilled coffee or a forgotten name, that's someone who radiates peace. That's someone people want to be around. In the end, life is not measured by how perfectly we lived it, but by how many times we chose to smile through the mess and help others do the same. So let that be your gift. Let your joy be contagious. Let your humor be the spark that lights up a room. Because even in silence, a warm, heartfelt laugh can say, I've lived, I've learned, and I still love this life. Maintain a well-groomed appearance. There's a quiet dignity in taking care of yourself. Not for vanity, not to impress, but as a simple, graceful act of self-respect. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to be comfortable in your own skin. You don't need to chase trends or pretend to be someone else, but choosing to present yourself with care, that speaks volumes before you ever open your mouth. When you step out into the world, even if it's just to the garden, the cafe, or a family visit, what message do you send with your presence? A neatly brushed head of hair, clean, well-fitted clothes, a light scent that makes someone pause and smile. These are not just superficial details, they are symbols. They say, I still care. I still honor the day ahead of me. I value myself, and I value you. Because how you present yourself isn't just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. Think of the confidence you feel when you wear something that makes you feel put together, even at home. Think of how a little grooming, shaving, moisturizing, wearing your favorite shirt can lift your spirit even when the world feels heavy. These small rituals aren't frivolous, they're healing. They ground you. They affirm that you still matter. They remind you that your body, your presence, your existence are still worth showing up for. And here's the secret no one tells you. People notice. They may not always say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel your effort. They feel your respect. They feel your pride, not the boastful kind, but the quiet, powerful pride of someone who still values their place in the world. You don't need expensive clothes. You don't need to look young. You only need to look like you, at your best, as defined by you. Let your appearance reflect the wisdom within. Let it show that you are still living with purpose, with presence, and with care. Because when you walk into a room, hair brushed, eyes kind, clothes chosen with love, you become a reminder. A reminder that aging is not fading, it's refining. And there is nothing more attractive than someone who carries their age not with apology, but with elegance. So go ahead, iron the shirt, shine the shoes, wear the perfume, not because you have to, but because you can. And in doing so, you teach the world something quietly powerful, that growing older is not the end of beauty. It's the beginning of something deeper, richer, and far more enduring. Be authentic. There comes a time in life when you no longer need to wear masks, when you no longer feel the pressure to fit in, to please, to perform. That time is now. In your 70s, 80s, and beyond, you've earned the most beautiful freedom of all, the freedom to be authentically you. Not the polished version you once thought you had to be, not the role society told you to play, but the real you. Flaws, wisdom, softness, scars, laughter lines, and all. Authenticity is not loud. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't try to be liked. It simply is. And in its quiet confidence, it becomes one of the most irresistible forces on earth. When you walk through life owning your truth, speaking from your heart, sharing what matters to you, choosing what aligns with your spirit, people feel it. They trust you. They're drawn to you. Because deep down, we're all searching for someone who gives us permission to be real. And when you show up as yourself, unpolished but honest, it tells others, you can be yourself too. Being authentic means honoring your values even when they're unpopular. It means laughing at your quirks instead of hiding them. It means saying, I don't know, when you don't, and not being ashamed of it. It means not watering yourself down just to make others comfortable. And yes, it takes courage. You may have spent decades accommodating others, holding back your voice, wearing the right face for the right occasion. But here now, at this beautiful chapter, you get to lay all that down. You get to say, this is who I am, I've lived, I've learned, and I am no longer afraid to be fully, truly me. And that is magnetic. Because there's nothing more attractive than a person who is at peace with themselves, who no longer chases approval but walks with quiet assurance, who isn't trying to impress but simply to connect. When you are authentic, you create real relationships, not ones built on pretense but on truth, not one shaped by expectation but by genuine presence. And maybe, just maybe, that authenticity becomes your legacy, the thing people remember most when they think of you. She was real, he never pretended. With them, I could be myself. So don't shrink, don't bend, don't wear a mask. You've spent a lifetime becoming the person you are. Now let the world see you just as you are. Because in the silence of self-acceptance, you become more attractive, more compelling, more unforgettable than you ever imagined. Embrace your age. Look in the mirror, not with judgment, but with reverence. The reflection staring back at you isn't something to fix, it's something to honor. That silver hair, it's not a flaw, it's a crown. Those lines around your eyes, they're the map of every moment you've laughed, cried, overcome, endured. You are not past your prime, you are in the richest season of your life. In a world obsessed with youth, it takes courage to stand tall and say, I am aging, and I am proud of it. But aging is not about loss, it's about depth. It's about knowing who you are, what matters, and what no longer needs your worry. When you embrace your age, you stop chasing shadows, you stop apologizing for growing older, and you begin to celebrate it. Because every year you've lived has added something to you. A lesson, a relationship, a heartbreak, a triumph. You are not who you were at 30 or 50. And thank goodness for that. You are more now, more aware, more grounded, more whole. And that wholeness is beautiful. It's magnetic. You see, people aren't just drawn to youth, they're drawn to presence, to someone who is settled in their skin, who walks without pretending, who exudes calm, wisdom, and grace. That's the kind of attractiveness that doesn't fade. That's the kind that grows stronger with time. So don't try to erase your age. Embody it. Wear it like a badge of resilience. Speak with the voice of someone who has lived and who no longer needs to prove anything. Let the world see the power of a person who doesn't fear getting older, but who walks through the years with open arms and an open heart. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You become a beacon for others. You show younger generations that life doesn't end after 60, 70, or 80. It deepens, it softens and strengthens all at once. So if you've been told that you should hide your age, fight it, cover it, I invite you to do the opposite. Let your age speak. Let it sing. Let it shine through every gesture, every wrinkle, every word of wisdom you share. Because aging is not something that happens to you, it's something you become. And when you embrace your age fully, with pride and tenderness, You radiate a quiet confidence that is more powerful, more irresistible than any youth ever could be. Be generous. There's a kind of beauty that isn't worn on the body, but carried in the heart. A kind of presence that doesn't announce itself, yet quietly transforms every space it enters. That beauty is generosity. And at this point in life, you already know, true wealth isn't counted in coins. It's measured in moments, in kindness, in how you show up for others when it truly matters. Being generous isn't about giving away everything you have. It's about giving what matters most, your time, when someone feels forgotten, your attention, when someone just needs to be heard, your wisdom, when someone is lost, your presence, when words simply aren't enough. And perhaps the most beautiful thing about generosity is this: you don't need an audience. You don't need applause. The truest kind of giving is often done quietly, humbly, with no expectation of anything in return. Because generosity isn't a transaction, it's a way of being. A way of saying, I've walked far, I've stumbled and risen, and I want to leave behind more than just footsteps. I want to leave behind light. In your 70s or 80s, you hold something that can't be bought: perspective. You've seen what really matters. You've learned that the greatest joy often comes not from taking, but from offering. Whether it's a warm meal shared, a handwritten note sent without reason, or simply the patience to sit with someone who's grieving, confused, or lonely, these are acts of love. Quiet love, lasting love, and they make you unforgettable. Generosity also has a way of multiplying. A simple act of kindness from you could change someone's entire day, maybe even their life. And they may carry that kindness forward to someone else, and then another, and another, until a whole chain of good begins with one soft, unspoken gesture of yours. Isn't that something? That you, just by being thoughtful, kind, and open, can leave behind a trail of hope? So give, not because you have to, not because you want to be noticed, but because you can. Because you understand now that the most meaningful life is not one that gathers, but one that gives freely and with love. Let your legacy be one of open hands, open heart, and open doors. Because when you are generous, not just in what you give, but in how you love, you become someone people don't forget. Not for what you had, but for what you shared. Be patient and understanding. There's a kind of strength that doesn't raise its voice, a kind of wisdom that doesn't need to speak at all. It lives in your silence, in the gentle way you wait, in the compassion in your eyes when someone else is struggling to find their way. That strength is patience. That wisdom is understanding. And they are among the most powerful, quietly attractive qualities a person can carry, especially in later life. You see, as we grow older, something beautiful happens. We begin to see the longer view. We stop expecting life or people to be perfect. We understand that change takes time. Healing isn't linear, and growth can look messy. You've lived through seasons of hardship, of waiting, of hoping. You've had moments where things didn't go your way, where people didn't understand you, where nothing made sense, until years later. And because of that, you now offer others a kind of grace the world so desperately needs. Where once you might have rushed to judge, now you pause. Where once you might have demanded answers, now you listen more closely. That is a gift. When someone is fumbling with their words, or failing to meet expectations, or just not moving at your pace, you don't push. You don't scold. You hold space. You say with your presence, "It's okay. Take your time. I understand." And that simple, quiet patience, it's healing. It's rare. It's unforgettable. Because so many people go through life feeling rushed, pressured, or judged. But when they meet someone like you, someone who gives them room to be human, they remember. Not what you said, not what you did, but how they felt in your presence. And it goes beyond just other people. This patience, this understanding, also turns inward. You begin to forgive yourself more. You stop demanding perfection from your past. You learn to say, "I did the best I could with what I knew." And that tenderness toward yourself radiates outward. It teaches others that they too can be gentle with themselves. You don't need to fix everyone. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to be there, steady, kind, and open. Let your life experience be a lighthouse, not a searchlight. Guide, don't chase. Support, don't control. Listen, don't lecture. Because in this world of fast reactions and quick tempers, someone who responds with calm understanding is magnetic. Someone who listens first and loves anyway, That's the person everyone feels safe around. So, be patient with others, with yourself, with life. Because you already know, everything unfolds in its own time. And when you choose to meet the world with empathy and stillness, you don't just become admired. You become trusted. You become remembered. You become someone whose presence speaks long after you've left the room. Live with purpose. There is a quiet kind of power in waking up and knowing why you're here. A soft, steady fire that lights your spirit from the inside. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because you're still becoming, still offering, still living. That fire is called purpose. And no, purpose isn't reserved for the young or for those chasing great ambitions. In fact, some of the most meaningful purpose begins later in life, when the noise fades and the truth of what really matters becomes clear. Purpose doesn't have to be a grand mission. You don't have to build empires, write books, or lead revolutions. Sometimes purpose looks like this: being the steady presence your family leans on, passing down wisdom only you could know, planting a garden you'll never see bloom because you believe someone else will enjoy the beauty, offering a kind word to a stranger just because the world needs more kindness. Purpose isn't measured in size, it's measured in meaning. Ask yourself, what brings me joy even in stillness? What gives me energy even when the body feels tired? What makes me feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be? It could be mentoring, creating, listening, praying, teaching, serving. It could be simply choosing to live each day with intention and grace. When you live with purpose, something changes in you. You walk differently, you speak differently. There's a light in your eyes, a calm in your voice, a strength in your presence. People feel it, even if they can't name it. You begin to wake with more peace, go to sleep with more gratitude, and move through each day with a quiet sense of direction. Not because everything is easy, but because everything has meaning. And when life gets difficult, and it will, your purpose becomes your anchor. It reminds you that you are still needed, still useful, still filled with wisdom this world can't afford to lose. There is no too late for purpose. If you are still breathing, your life still has work to do. Maybe not the kind you once did, but a deeper kind. A kind that touches hearts, a kind that brings healing, a kind that ripples far beyond what you can see. So don't let anyone tell you your best days are behind you. Don't let a quiet house or slower step make you believe you've been forgotten. Because if you live with purpose, if you do what matters with love, you will never be invisible. You will be radiant. You will be the kind of person who doesn't just exist but inspires, who doesn't just age but leaves a mark. So ask yourself each morning, what can I offer today? What matters now? And then go offer it. Fully, freely, joyfully. Because when you live with purpose, you don't just grow older, you grow deeper. And that, more than anything, makes you quietly, unmistakably irresistible. Appreciate the simple things. There is a certain beauty that slips past the hurried mind, a quiet kind of joy that only those who have truly lived long enough will notice. It's in the first sip of warm tea on a cool morning, in the way sunlight dances across your kitchen table, in the sound of bird song, just before the world fully wakes. These moments are easy to miss, unless you've learned, as you have, to slow down and see them. To appreciate the simple things is not to settle for less. It's to realize that so much of what we were chasing was never what we truly needed. Because joy isn't always found in big events or grand achievements. Sometimes it's tucked inside the most ordinary of moments, a soft blanket, a shared laugh, a handwritten note from someone who still remembers your name. You see, when you're younger, life moves fast. You're always on your way to something. But now you have the gift of stillness, of noticing, and that is sacred. When you stop to breathe in the scent of flowers by your door, when you listen, really listen, to a grandchild's story, even if it wanders, when you close your eyes at night and feel thankful for nothing more than the roof above and the peace within, that is grace, that is presence, that is life in full bloom, and it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who live slowly, deeply, mindfully, to those who are content not because life is perfect, but because they know how to see what's good. In a world rushing toward more, you become a calming force, a reminder that sometimes less is everything. So savor your meals. Let the tea steep slowly. Let the silence between conversations be part of the music. Let your gratitude rise, not from what's missing, but from what already is. Because when you appreciate the simple things, you glow with something rare, a peace that doesn't need permission, a joy that doesn't need explaining. And when people meet you, they may not understand it at first, but they will feel it. They will feel safe, seen, slowed down just enough to breathe again. So never underestimate the power of quiet appreciation. It teaches others how to live. It reminds them that beauty isn't rare, it's just rarely noticed. And you, with your gentle pace and grateful heart, become living proof that the small things, they were always the big things. Be a role model. You may not realize it, but someone is watching you, a grandchild, a neighbor, a stranger on the bus, someone who sees the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you respond to life, and they're learning from you. That's the quiet influence of being a role model. It doesn't come with fanfare or spotlight. It happens in small, almost invisible ways, every single day. At this stage of your life, you carry something extraordinary. Not just memories, but meaning. Not just stories, but lessons. You've walked through storms and made it to stillness. You've loved, lost, fallen, risen. You've learned what matters and what never really did. And now, the way you live those lessons is your legacy. You don't need to preach. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real, to live with integrity, to treat people kindly, to stand tall when life is hard and bend gently when grace is needed. You've seen enough to know that strength isn't loud, it's steady. That leadership isn't about authority, it's about example. That wisdom isn't in giving all the answers, but in showing others how to ask better questions. Being a role model is less about what you say and more about what you do when no one's looking. When you choose patience instead of frustration. When you extend forgiveness, even when it's hard. When you speak with warmth instead of bitterness. When you keep showing up for life with courage, even on the quiet days. These moments, they shape people, they shape generations. You may never know whose life you've touched simply by being who you are, but I promise you have, and you still are. Young people today are searching for wisdom, for grounding, for hope. And you, without needing to try, are offering all three. Your presence says you can get through this, I did. Your actions say kindness still matters, so does respect, so does truth. And when you share your stories, not just your victories, but your missteps, your growth, your humanity, you give others permission to be human too. This is what it means to lead without leading, to teach without teaching, to guide just by being. You become a lighthouse in someone else's storm, not because you had all the answers, but because you lived through the questions and stayed kind anyway. So don't underestimate your influence. Your example is powerful. Your legacy is already forming, and it's not written in stone or savings accounts. It's written in hearts. Be a role model, not by trying to be extraordinary, but by being exactly who you are, with love, with courage, and with grace. Because in the end, what people will remember most isn't just what you taught them. It's how you made them want to be better. Conclusion. True irresistibility. So here we are, at the end of this gentle journey through presence, character, and silent strength. And perhaps you've begun to realize something, that true attractiveness, the kind that doesn't fade with age, the kind that lingers long after you leave the room, has nothing to do with the lines on your face or the pace of your step. It has everything to do with who you are when no one is watching. It's the way your eyes soften when someone's in pain, the quiet wisdom in your words, the steady kindness in your actions, the way you carry your years not as a burden, but as a badge of grace. You've spent a lifetime becoming this version of yourself, and now this is your time to live it fully, not chasing approval, not grasping for youth, but standing tall in the beauty of your being. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not past your prime. You are ripe with presence. You are overflowing with insight. You are exactly what the world needs more of. Genuine, grounded, gracious souls who radiate warmth just by being themselves. So let your smile be real. Let your voice be steady. Let your silence carry weight. Let your authenticity shine so brightly that others feel safer to be themselves in your presence. You don't have to speak loudly to be heard. You don't have to look young to be beautiful. You don't have to impress to be admired. Because your silent attraction is your truest superpower. And if you take just one thing from all of this, let it be this. You are still becoming, still glowing, still teaching, simply by living with love, humility, and intention. So step into each day with the quiet knowing that your presence matters, and when someone meets you, really meets you, they'll walk away a little calmer, a little wiser, and maybe even thinking to themselves, I hope I can be like that someday. Because you are not just aging, you are becoming unforgettable.